My dad was insanely important to me, but it is really beautiful to see how important he was to everybody here and to Sparks in Reno and Northern Nevada. So, thank you for coming to remember my father and to recognize his contributions to Northern Nevada. To be honest, I don't think that was ever his goal, to make an impact. He was much more motivated by the love of the craft, by the love of word, of communication, and of music. Though large in scale, his legacy, once you zoom in, is much more just a life of daily practice. One day stacked one on top of the other, one article or show at a time over decades. He was crafting the puzzle pieces, not crafting the puzzle. But in the end, they fit together to create a career of meaning and influence. Despite my close relationship with my father, or perhaps in spite of it, this perspective on crafting an impactful life had evaded me until recently. In the soul-searching naivete of my younger years, I had figured people set goals, set their eyes on the prize, and then do what's needed to cross the finish line. But the reality is people don't craft meaning with the goal of creating a legacy or making a name for themselves, despite what young boss jocks might think when they first get the big gig at KOZZ. They do it one day at a time. They do it by waiting in the middle, in between the start and the end, by waking up at 4:30 a.m. every day and walking outside in the crunchy, stale snow towards their truck to embark on the dark daily drive to the studio, by making a cup of black coffee and sitting down with random notes of the events of the night before and of the day as it progresses, by meeting listeners at the Monday Night Football remote, by sorting through the small towers of promo CDs on the desk to find a sound that surprises someone out there. They do it by crafting small moments of meaning for others. And people responded in kind. The relationship between Bruce Van Dyke and Reno was reciprocal, as the hundreds of listener letters found in his garage would suggest. The audience kept his station alive more than once. And ex-staff returned the favor, sending their gratitude via deep cuts and eclectic energy. I've had so many interactions with people around town recently who have shared small moments and memories of my father. From the plumber my husband randomly called to fix a leaky toilet, to the owners of the hot tub repair shop who made him take a moment of silence, to the appraiser of his house. All of these tiny daily interactions, yet once they add up, they depict someone connected to their community, both on and off the airwaves. I asked him once why he settled in Reno. Having recently come to my knees at the altar of the desert landscape, I was expecting some romantic answer steeped in spirit and thought. Instead, he said, I didn't choose to settle, it just happened. You do a job, the job becomes a career, you make friends, it just becomes your life, and you just stay. Okay, I thought, not really the decisive, sweeping response I was hoping for. But then he added, I will say I never really needed to live around trees. They block the view. They get in the way of the sky. I now know what he really meant by all of that. He loved Reno. Each day held him here. Each day added one more reason to stay. Each day allowed him to see the sky unimpeded. Thank you for keeping him here.
Hi, I'm Denise Davis. When I moved here in '78, I was Denise Harold, and I had a young son, 6 years old, in tow. And our morning ritual, Monday through Friday, was Dave bringing his bowl of cereal into the bathroom while I put on hair and makeup and listening to BVD. It's the only radio station we could get, but thank God that's the one we could get. And yes, I was there. We were listening when Diane Michaels started playing In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida anytime he was late. And he got there early to get that bitch off his back. Yeah, and that was it. Dave knew he had a life in radio. We miss you so much, Bruce. You were everything to us.
story. All right. I'm going to move this up a little bit. Hi, my name's Paul Doji. I've got a number of things to Bruce, just like everybody else. The first time I ever met him, I had just taken over Recycled Records, and I was just like everybody else in Reno. We listened to Bruce in the morning, and one day he walked in, and he introduced himself. Hi, I'm Bruce Van Dyke, and I just blurted it out. I go, oh, I like you. You know, and I really did. And he talked me into borrowing an album so he could play something on the air. It was a King Crimson album. It was the first King Crimson album, and he played I Talk to the Wind, and of course it skipped on air. So that was our first inauspicious beginning. But because of my relationship with my wife Lynette, who was up at KOZ's ear during those glory days, if you will, we got to meet Bruce and know Bruce through all that time. The next thing that comes to mind is when he'd started the X. He'd left and come back, and him and Harry and Rich Garcia and all that had started up the X. And I was so excited to hear the X because it was playing all this music that I knew about that nobody else was playing. It was so unique and so interesting. So I made a point of calling Bruce, and I said, Bruce, I've got a really good personal record collection. Needless to say, after all these years at Recycled, I mean, I've got, everything of everybody. Whatever you want to borrow for the station, you can feel free to borrow. And he came over to my house, and he looked at all my stuff, and he goes, how about I just give you a show on, you can just do 1 hour a week, come in on Sunday nights, just do 1 hour a week, and just play whatever you want. I mean, I don't know. I know there's a lot of radio people out there, but those kind of opportunities don't come to anybody ever. And so for the next 3 to 4 years, I worked Sunday nights. I'd go up to the X, back, including when they were at that old place at the corner of Sparks Boulevard and Prater, that little, block house out there. And so all those earlier days and stuff, and I got to play whatever I wanted, and every time you see Bruce, it would always be like you never left. We went to me and Willis and Bruce saw Dweezil Zappa at that Sausage Fest. We call it 9 guys for every girl at a Zappa show. So it was that, and just hung out there, and we got together during COVID. He'd come over, and we'd do, he called them salons, because we had our chairs out on the front lawn so we could still, and he came over with Luann one time. He was invited to my party on September 10th for my birthday, and for whatever reason didn't show up, and now unfortunately we know the reason. Bruce, you're a great guy, Bruce. Love you, man. Take care.
Just give us your name and tell us your story.
All right.
I'm Ricky.
I'm Rob Lowry. This is my wife, Ricky.
Hi.
First of all, I just want to say, Bruce, we really miss you.
We love you, Bruce.
I didn't have the good fortune of meeting Bruce when he was the DJ. I've known Bruce for about 12 years and was strictly through the bird watching. And been on some great adventures with Bruce and Willis and some of his other friends. Vegas, Death Valley, Porter Springs,
Santa Rosa Mountains.
White
Creek.
Yeah, we stayed at the B&B. He took us to the B&B in Unionville.
Awesome.
Which it was a great time. One of my favorite thoughts is when we were driving up Hinky Summit. Willis had just got a new motorhome, and we were driving up the road up to Hinky Summit, which, if anybody's been up there, it's very curvy and gravelly. And there was a storm going on. It was blowing like crazy, like 60-mile-an-hour winds. But Willis taking this up for the first time, and we're sitting in the motorhome, and you can look out and see where one of the wheels is off of the road as we're going around. And we finally get up this Hinky Summit right at the top, and the wind's howling, and the motorhome's shaking, and Bruce decides he's going to go sleep outside for the night in this wind. So he slept out. He got a sleeping bag and put it up on a lawn chair out in front of the motorhome, and then we survived the night and got up the next morning, and Bruce wasn't nowhere to be seen. And apparently in the middle of the night, he had walked over to this little building that was up on top there, a ranger station of some sort. and was sleeping on the backside of that. And it was just funny, the fun we had together.
He was fun and funny.
Yeah, and just a good soul. Never saw Bruce mad. Never saw him upset, except what you talked about Trump.
We love you, Bruce.
We love you. We miss you. And my friend will. Oh, one other story I'd like is we'd go up and see. I got the good fortune going up to see him and stay at his Rancho Recluso, his house way up in the desert. And at dark, we went out to the hill behind the house, and we were sitting on a rock that overlooked this big valley. And he had told me before coming up there was a bunch of long-eared owls that roosted there. He saw like up to 50, him and Willis. That particular night we're sitting there, and right at dusk you could just see them all coming up out of the pinyon pines. And I played a call of the owl, and several of them came over and were hovering right above our heads looking down at us. And it was just such a beautiful experience, and I was so happy that I got a chance to stay at Rancho Recluso. He ended up selling it within the next year. But just wanted to bring that up too, because that was such a good time. And all I can say, my friend, is I love you, miss you, and until I see you again.
Just step up and talk. You can talk in the name or something like that? Well, you can give us your name and your story.
Okay.
Okay, please.
Not my shoe size either.
Take another nice swig off that drink first.
No, you got it. All right.
There you go. Now you're ready.
All right. I'm so glad and proud that I had met Bruce Van Dyke and had a lot of great moments with Bruce. I'm Tom Young, founder of the Great Basin Brewing Company. My wife and I throw everything we had into it and go, all right, what the hell are we going to do now? Very early in the game, we got into music. And if you want to get into music, Bruce Van Dyke, KTHX was the place to go and things there too. So we started out, let's try this out and things there too. And Bruce, he's just this walking knowledge of music and the scene and what is going to happen in Reno now, today and things like that too. Everybody respected his opinions and views and things there too. And we were the first operating, or the first operating brewery in Nevada at the time there too. And what better place for pioneers to get together. So we did lots of different musical things together and things there too. And it was never about the money. It was about the trip, the road, the experience and things that we were doing it. And I think that's the whole thing about Bruce. Yeah, you have to make a living, you have to eat and things like that too. But in reality, it's all about the journey, the adventure, moving forward and things in your life. And that's what Bruce did, and that's what we did at Great Basin Brewing Company for many years. And I teamed up with Jeff Cotton for many shows and things there too. And Bruce is always in there. We had a whole series one summer that we're going to do, and the X was going to fund part of the musicians. We're going to broadcast in the first hour of these shows every Thursday night on the X, and then they were going to pay us some to help with the musicians. And all of a sudden, the X got sold. Just about the first day of our concert, and the new owner said, we're not going to fund this, and the whole thing's booked. Contracts are signed, and Bruce and I are looking at each other going, holy shit, what the hell are we going to do now, and things there too. But we had some bumps in the road. We let it go and things like that too, and said, hey, it's not about the money, it's about the experience of the long-term development and things there too. But Bruce came down with Katie, his daughter, rode her down to the Great Basin with his daughter on his handlebars all the time. And I have a lot of good memories of not exactly the safest way to bring your daughter out to lunch or something like that too, but a lot of good memories in that and things there too. But Bruce, you're out there and things there too. I just think Robert O'Keen is one of my favorite songs. Comes up and he says, the road goes on forever and the party never ends. And you know what? I'm still here, you're still here, and everybody's still here. Your memory's here. So here's to you, Bruce.
I'm Sam Reynolds, son of Harry Reynolds, and I got a lot of Bruce Van Dyke stories. I grew up. I had the good fortune of having Bruce around at a lot of gatherings, and I can just remember looking forward to it. When we would hear that Bruce was coming, I would get really, really excited because he was always good for just the best storyteller. And I would always just kind of gravitate around him, even as, when I wasn't supposed to be there and he was telling inappropriate stories. I would always find my way into his kind of vicinity and just want to soak up everything that he would drop. And I just loved the way that he would speak and kind of drop one-liners and stories and everything else. And later on, I would had the good fortune of kind of being we were parallel morning guys. I was just a board operator. It was my first radio gig for a whole $6 an hour, and I was his traffic guy. So I would record the traffic, and I was a terrible traffic guy. I will fully admit that, because I had to do the board operating and the traffic, and you had to call the NHP and the highway patrol and the police department, and they were really rude and nasty. They didn't want to hear from you, so I'd always try to rip KOH's traffic, and pretty early on Bruce caught on that I wasn't really doing a lot of traffic research, so he would call me Chupacabra the Traffic Zombie was my radio name on the X. While I was his traffic guy, he'd always check in with Chupacabra, and then even later on, I had a really good fortune of kind of having some downtime with Bruce at the gym, where he really loved to check out the eye candy, and he made no secrets about it. He would have his glasses down his nose and stare at all the gorgeous women in the gym, and I would always go over and listen to him talk every chance I got, and even right to the end. I mean, he would tell stories, and it was just right up to a few weeks before he left. He was in that gym just trying to get back to it, and I love him, and I miss him every day, and it's about what I got. But this is Chupacabra signing off. So thanks, Bruce.
There are no restrictions here. Whoa!
Is it hi, Bruce, or just hi?
Okay. That's okay. We're good to go.
We're good to go. Hi, Bruce. I met you when I first moved to Reno in 1980. You lived with my sister in the house on Oakhurst Street, and I sold you your first house on L Street. And I used to see you every year at Burning Man, because we both have been going out there forever. Loved you, listened to you, woke up to you every single morning, and I miss you dearly. You were the bomb. That's all I got.
Entertain us.
I am Mark Murray, and Bruce and I became friends back at Mount Rose and at Slide Mountain at the house, Sky Tavern at his house, and with John Badwick and the group, and we've been friends a long time, and through music and the radio stations. Always great to always see him. We'd always get together and have fun. But I was looking at some of the pictures tonight, and there was one with Frank Zappa, and I happened to be at the airport that night with the crew when they met him, and that was very fun. But great guy. Met his lovely daughter this evening, and it was awfully fun to talk to her, and just to have memories of a great guy. So here's to you. Keep rocking in, playing the music, all your whiles up in the heavens. Be good. Bye.
Hey, my name is Greg Hoff, and I'm local from Reno, but before that, Tahoe. And basically, I just wanted to say that I think Bruce Van Dyke was a pivotal personality, if you will, for the radio. in our local area. It's hard to imagine somebody that's had a bigger impact as far as being a DJ, and his highly recognizable tone, his ingratiating manner, his welcoming voice. It's just a really sad thing that he's not with us any longer. Of course, it's been a while since we've heard him in the Reno radio waves, but certainly able to get a hold of him on the internet. Anyway, I treasure the old tapes I have that I recorded off the X back in the day. Just want to say that I really miss you, Bruce, and I hope that wherever you are, things are good. I also might say that I found out when we were talking here at the museum a few years back that you and I went to the same junior high school in Fresno, Tenaya Junior High. So how about that for a little link? Anyway, just want to say happy trails, and really have enjoyed your presence in this northern Nevada area. So on.
Hi, I'm Bridget Tuma. My husband Wayne Tuma and I owned Pollyann Bakery for many years. We used to advertise with the X, and Bruce used to eat our products on the air to advertise. One morning, he was eating a chocolate brownie with powdered sugar on it, and he managed to snort it up. The powdered sugar was all snorted around. A little lady called me up that day at the bakery and was disgusted, totally disgusted on the noises she heard. So my husband informed Bruce that he should go with it and tell the lady what he thought. And he told her that if you had not heard worse with your husband under the sheets, that snorting, you had not lived a life at all. Thank you.
All right. Hey, my name is Vic Williams, and I was as close to Bruce as a lot of people, not very, but man, I played some golf with this guy, and let me tell you, this MFer could swing the golf club. His swing was as smooth as his voice on the air. And not only did he introduce me to just the attitude to play golf, which I had to struggle with, he introduced me to so many great artists over the years. John Trudell, Robbie Robertson in his post-band years. It was just awesome to know the guy. And he pretty much set the stage for my entire Reno music listening experience. God bless you, Bruce. Love you, man.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Cochran. I worked at KOZZ, KGLR, KTHX with Bruce, and him and I were just fantastic friends. At his memorial up in Virginia City here, back a month or so ago, every night after that memorial, I had very vivid Bruce dreams, and I would go to sleep at night excited for the next installment of the fun that Bruce and I were going to have. Bruce, I love you and miss you terribly.
My name is Tawny, and Bruce was one of my best friends. We used to get together frequently. I've known him, I don't know, at least 12 years or so, and he is probably one of the funniest, most intelligent, insightful men I've ever known. And the times when I was driving out to his house to go spend an evening with him were some of my favorite times. I was always excited to drive out there, knowing I'd have a great time. Enjoyed every moment of his company. We laughed, we cried. I went to Portugal with him for a week. We went on road trips together. I just miss him so much. And I feel lucky that I knew him and got to be so close with him. And, yeah. I love you, Bruce.
Wine, right?
Beer.
You're rolling.
Hey, I got another story about BVD. I would get up in the morning and turn on Bruce's morning show, and I was fixing breakfast for my family. My boys were still asleep, Chris was still asleep, and I'm listening, and I hear this crazy story Bruce is telling about this building, and I don't know, I thought it was his, Godzilla type imagination going crazy and telling a story. And then he said, folks, turn off the radio and turn on the TV. And it stopped me dead in my tracks. It was like, Bruce would never tell me to turn off the radio. And I started paying attention, and I turned off the radio and turned on the TV. It was the morning of 9/11. Okay, that's it.
Okay. Hi, my name is Bob McNamara, and my wife and I, Tracy Candela, she's out here somewhere too. We were going to have a few years ago. We were going to have a party for the solstice, for the eclipse during the solstice about 4 or 5 years ago. And so we're inviting some people over, and basically what happened is I invite Bruce. So Bruce comes back to me and says, well, I was going to have a party too. And so he said, instead of me doing my party, I'm going to bring my party over to your house. So all of a sudden our party doubled in size. And you know what? It all worked out. We all had a good time, and that's the way it goes. So that's my Bruce Van Dyke story, or one of my Bruce Van Dyke stories.
Say anything you like.
Kirk Andrake. I've known Bruce for approximately 25, 30 years, from the beginning of 1978 on, and we happen to have the same dentist and the same hair cutter, Maurice Palermo and Crazy Jane Resnick. And one night, Bruce and I had dinner with two girlfriends of ours and had a lovely dinner, and then Bruce at the time was a DJ at a dance club I can't remember the name of down on Grove Street. And he decided to take us down there on a Sunday night while it was closed and played music for 4 hours so the three of us could dance our hearts out. I miss that lovely man. Thanks.
Okay, tell me what I need to do.
We're rolling. What's your name?
Sutton Porter.
And tell us your story.
Well, I worked at KTHX back in 2007 as the business manager for like a minute. And I would love to come in the morning and see Bruce doing his thing. And of course, even back farther, I was listening to KTHX on day number 1. Bruce was an integral part of my morning for 25 years. And I just loved his wit and his humor. And you know, I won a really big contest once, and it was so awesome, and he was the one to give it to me. So he was such a staple in this community. I'll miss him forever, and I loved him from afar.
We're rolling, so you just go when you're ready.
All right. My name is Rick Sorensen. I work for TMCC Community Education, and I come up with ideas for classes and then I try to find instructors to teach them. Because I'm absorbed in the 60s rock and roll scene, I thought, why not a history of rock and roll? And then I thought, but who's going to teach that? And the first guy I thought of was Bruce Van Dyke. I listened to him for years on the radio. I saw him when I brought entertainers from Harrah's over to KOZZ and KTHX. So anyway, this is just a story about the first psychedelic rock era class that he did. We did it up in a room at the main Dandini campus of TMCC. I had checked the sound levels because I was doing his videos and his DVD and his CD cuts. So I tested the video, the audio probably 3 or 4 times. Everything was working really well. So the class starts and he does his intro and he said, and let's play this song by Jimi Hendrix. And I turned it on and you couldn't hear it. And I fiddled with it, and you don't listen to Jimi Hendrix when it's this level. So there was a plexiglass plate over the regular audio dial, which our IT department had put on there so that nobody messed with it. Well, I tore it off, and we cranked it up. And we listened to Hendrix and Pink Floyd and everybody else the way they were supposed to be heard. And Bruce, it was a privilege.
Awesome. Thank you. So we're rolling. You just step right up and have at it.
All right, Dan McGee here. I knew Bruce not like a close friend, but as an acquaintance for years. I remember when he started the X, and actually at that time, believe it or not, Reno had better radio and more varied radio than San Francisco, which was pretty astounding. And I was working part-time for the Sparks Tribune. So one day I went over and met him when they were by the ballpark, and we had an interview. I got to watch him work the board and everything, and it was really entertaining and educational at the same time. And then one of the most dramatic moments, I woke up one day and I would turn on the radio, and I think this was before the X, this was KOZZ time, and Bruce is on the air because I like to listen to him in the morning, and said, "Turn on your television." So of course I bounded out of bed, turned out my television in time to see the airplane go into the second tower. And that was pretty astounding. But I used to run into Bruce every now and then, and he really changed radio here, I thought, for the better. And I'm hoping that someone will pick this up and do the very same thing. He left us with quite a heritage, and anyway, sorry to hear about his demise.
Thank you, brother.
We are rolling. Bruce, I love you, man. So much beautiful music was presented and created and born on the X and every other station that you ever worked on. I'm just speechless. I just want you to know I love you. Everyone else loves you, and off into the ether. The microphone. I am Kathy Leonard, amiga of BVD. Adios.
This mic? This is Maurice Palermo speaking, and I was once known as the rock and roll dentist in the 80s and 90s, dubbed by Bruce. I've always looked up to Bruce. He was a year older, actually, And I remember the first time I met him, it was on the bus, the KOZZ bus in 1983 down to see The Who in the Oakland Stadium. And we stopped at a rest stop and happened to be standing at a urinal next to him, and I said, "You're Bruce, right?" "Yeah, who are you?" "I'm Maurice." And yeah, I'm a dentist, and I see Harry and and Sarge. He goes, "Oh, I'll come and see you too. That would be great. I need a dentist." And you know, for 37 years, he came in regularly. You know, because he's a regular type of guy. No. He's about one of the most unique guys I've ever known, and I know I'm going to miss him severely. He's a great guy. He was a great guy.